Namaste, everyone. Welcome to the Cārvāka podcast. As you can see, my background has changed. I am back in India. Look at the smile on my face. मैं घर वापस आ गया. So today we're going to focus primarily on Bihar elections, but I also because Aadit is joining us soon. Aadit कैसा है ना वो online आता है और ऐसा so गोल loading का घूमता जा रहा है. So we thought we will start. In the meantime, Aadit will fix his stuff. Um, I also wanted to talk about a bit about the American results also because people are not realizing what has happened in America. I was looking at some of the counties,
Hmm.
and every single county has changed from Republican to Democrat. It is insane. It is a bloodbath. It is a bloodbath, and the bloodbath का सबसे बड़ा evidence is the Trump Truth Social post. We're gonna lose the midterms. They are rigging this. They are rigging that. भाई बहुत रो रहा है Trump, and that is evidence of how bad the Republicans are doing. So I wanted to know Adit's views on that. But before Adit joins us, like yeah, he's done it again. Rahul Gandhi. He did a press conference today before. We had like we literally go to vote tomorrow, right? The first phase of
Yes, in
voting
in
for
another
Bihar is
12
tomorrow,
hours. In
and and
exactly
and I,
12 hours.
in exactly 12 hours, and this man does this, and INC Kerala put this tweet up like Adit bhi aa gaya. So Adit, I want to start with this INC Kerala tweet.
Huh.
And a Brazilian citizen, Matthias Ferroro, voted in 22 names in Haryana under the names ranging from Sweetie to Saraswati, the wonder called ECI. So are we sure that this same person with this same face voted 22 times? So I'll let Tushar handle this. Tu bata kya hai? What are the accusations that Rahul Gandhi has made, and what is the response?
So who goes first? Adit or me?
Tu
No,
ja
you.
pehle, Tushar.
Yeah, I was sleeping when Rahul Gandhi made the allegations.
No, actually, his own party was also sleeping, so that's okay. Look, Rahul Gandhi has again made the same allegations. It's just convenient rephrasing. He is citing electoral roll discrepancies. He's being very clear कि देखो इस electoral roll में ये गलतियां हैं, किसी का एड्रेस ऐसा है, किसी की फोटो ऐसी है. Now, this Brazilian model he cited, it's probably a stock image, and that has been used for around a dozen of electors, not voters, electors. Okay. And he's saying that this Brazilian model or photo of this Brazilian model is being used by fake voters. Of course, the media outlets, not very high on IQ and research, have quoted it as Brazilian model voting in Haryana election. So that's not true. What Rahul Gandhi is essentially saying is कि electoral rolls में गलतियां थी. ठीक है.
Hmm.
He also says कि हमें electoral rolls final moment पे मिलता है तो हमारे पास उसे देखने का टाइम नहीं होता. Now, this is where the first lie is, and that has also been sort of fact checked by the Election Commission, State Election Commission in Haryana. Whenever a election happens in India, the first thing we need to understand, एक हमने ये perception गलत बना लिया कि जो electoral rolls होते हैं, वो इलेक्शन के पहले ही आते हैं पार्टीज के पास. ऐसा नहीं होता. हर साल ईसीआई एक स्पेशल समरी रिवीजन करता है. इट स्टार्ट समवेयर इन अक्टूबर नवंबर, द कट ऑफ इज जनवरी, एंड एवरी ईयर अ न्यू सेट ऑफ ड्राफ्ट रोल्स इज पब्लिश्ड. If you go on Google, check for electoral rolls, and you go to a certain state, you will get the option to in the drop down menu कि कौन से साल का SSR के हिसाब से चाहिए, and the most updated year comes. So every year the party has an opportunity to work with the draft rolls. Before assembly elections are even announced, a set of draft rolls comes in. तो पहले तो राहुल गांधी झूठ ये बोल रहा है कि उसको रोल्स मिलते नहीं, उसकी पार्टी को मिलते नहीं. दूसरी चीज, let's say his argument of a Brazilian model photo is taken on face value. Are those electors voters? Point number one. Are those voters voting twice as he claimed? Point number two. Are those voters who are voting once or twice or more are voting for the BJP? We don't know. So put together, there are too many holes in Rahul Gandhi's entire claim that नहीं यहाँ पर वोट चोरी हो रहा है, एंड वो मार्जिन साइड कर रहा है कि इन कॉन्स्टिट्युएंसीज में हम कहीं 32 वोट से हारे, कहीं 500 वोट से हारे, तो यहाँ 25 लाख वोट्स का इधर हेर फेर हुआ है. बट अगेन यू कैन कोट रैंडम मैथ, बट यू हैव टू मेक सेंस ऑफ इट. इट्स लाइक मी थ्रोइंग रैंडम नंबर्स ऑन द बोर्ड एंड जस्ट सेइंग ये किसी भी इक्वेशन में डाल दो, कहीं तो फिट आ जाएंगे, right? And the problem still remains that if your electoral rolls are a problem, what were your booth level agents doing? Because 3 months before the Haryana Assembly elections, you won fair and square in Haryana. BJP was reduced to what, 4 or 5 seats in the state, right? You won fair and square. No one questioned it. Dipinder Hooda has come from there, right? So where is the problem really? तुम कह रहे हो 4 महीने पहले जब तुम लोकसभा में अच्छा जीते, electoral rolls बढ़िया थे, something changed in those 4 months. The same argument as he made in Maharashtra. Number two, and the most ridiculous argument he gave, हरियाणा में exit polls हमें जीतता हुआ दिखा रहे थे. Now, this is ironic. No, I'll tell you, this is ironic because for the longest period of time, and since I do a bit of TV, his party has always ridiculed the exit polls. So much that I remember in Lok Sabha 2024 elections, on the day of exit polls, they made a huge hue and cry that we are boycotting these exit polls because they are always rigged in a way to hype the BJP. And after the elections, when the Congress came out with 99 seats, they even accused the BJP of running a market manipulation scam through the exit polls. But today, the exit polls are suddenly kosher because they were showing a Congress win. So if Haryana exit polls are to be taken on face value, let's take the Lok Sabha exit polls also. वहां तो BJP को 400 सीट भी दे रहे थे लोग. ठीक है ना? Number three, and what he doesn't have an explanation for is how far do you go in proving this? He's not willing to go to the court. He's been very clear in that press conference. He's not willing to sign the affidavit. He's not even willing to risk the credibility of his booth level agents. He's throwing them under the bus. कि मेरे booth level agents क्या करे मुझे नहीं पता. अब एक चीज और है. An average booth has around 1,000 electors, not more than that. 50-100 ऊपर नीचे होगा, उससे ज्यादा या कम नहीं होगा. The turnout is usually 60%. So all electors are not voters. So that takes out around 300 of them from 1,700. Now, is Congress accepting that in a state like Haryana, where they actually command a 40% vote share consistently, they don't even have booth level agents present along with the party, leaders on the ground or units on the ground who can actually go through draft rolls? Ek interesting claim tha where he actually contradicts his entire theory. He said 3.5 lakh voters have been deleted from Haryana before the assembly election, and all of them are Congress voters. All of them are Congress supporters. One, I don't know how he found a way to vet 3.5 lakh voters' political ideology, but let's say he did. Let's take that argument on face value also. If you are so sure, sitting on top of the Congress pyramid, that they are your voters, your booth level agents would know, your local party units would know, your local party leader would know, the contesting MLA would know. What were they doing when the draft rolls were published? How is that 4 महीने पहले, अगर यार मेरी 4 महीने पहले मेरी पार्टी की 5 सीट्स आ रही हैं 10 में से किसी स्टेट में मेरा कमबैक हो रहा है, I would be double interested in how the electoral roll updation process is going. I'll make sure that none of my voters at least missed out. I will be totally into the game. And they were. In Haryana, they were. But again, Rahul Gandhi, when he made this point, I think that was pretty much clear that he's just beating around the bush, actually just bullshitting like he always does. And again, it will be some hype on Twitter for a day or two, but doing it just a day before Bihar goes to polls and admitting कि मैं ये press conference बिहार के लिए भी करूंगा, वहां भी ये होगा. I don't know if he was throwing himself under the bus, Congress booth level agents under the bus, or the RJD under the bus. Because a couple of days from now, or probably tomorrow itself, the Prime Minister is going to go to some rally, or Amit Shah is going to go some rally and say that RJD का alliance partner खुद दिल्ली में बोल रहा है कि हम तो हार मान के बैठ गए हैं कि उनके साथ जनता का विश्वास नहीं है. And that will be the game. So Rahul Gandhi being Rahul Gandhi things.
So one point to add, Kushal, and I can't comment much on Rahul Gandhi because I haven't seen the press conference, and Tushar I think did a great job explaining. But on the exit polls, because it's often said, why were they so off? One of the reasons why they're so off is if you see the number of votes polled in BJP and Congress in Haryana, they are within about 1.5 lakh or something like that. When you have such a close sort of number of votes being polled, that means a lot of people may have changed their mind or made up their mind in the last minute. There were last minute swings. In that situation, the exit polls can get it wrong when it's so close. You should be worried when the election is completely lopsided. The problem in India is people only look at seats. They don't look at vote share. Exit polls are conducted based on vote shares. If you see the vote share of BJP and Congress, it was very close. The problem with the Congress vote share is obviously it is clustered in pockets, like the pockets of Mr. Bhupinder Hooda and stuff. So they'll have large margins of victory, but they'll have small margins of losses. But guess what? In the first past the post system, if you lose 5 seats by 5,000 and win 1 seat by 25,000, you got the same number of votes, but you lost the thing 5-1. And that is something that I don't think Rahul Gandhi understands very well. And I have no idea what he's doing. So that was my quick point on it.
Now, here's the question. If you think there is a problem, why is it not even a single polling booth agent of the Congress raising any objection at the time of the election when it happens? Point number two, why don't they go to courts?
Yeah.
Why don't they? This is a legit question somebody needs to ask. And point number three, why the hell does the Election Commission of India not sue this man for defamation?
अभी बिहार में जब SIR हुआ, and mind you, Rahul Gandhi by making all these baseless allegations is actually strengthening the case for an SIR. And if I were Amit Shah, I'm probably going a step and I'm like, तू सुन भाई, मैं NRC करा देता हूँ. तेरे को डाउट है ना, ब्राजीलियन मॉडल, कोलंबियन मॉडल, कोई भी मॉडल, लेट्स गो फॉर एन NRC. बट हैविंग सेड दैट, अभी बिहार में SIR हुआ, देयर वाज एन एंटायर 1 month window because he brought up Form 6 and Form 7, which is used for the inclusion and deletion of voters in an electoral list. He said that we don't know what happened with Form 6 and Form 7. This dodo, he doesn't realize that the booth level agents on the ground catering to their area are very instrumental in helping people fill those forms, Form 6 and 7. Either if you're including a voter or you're deleting the voter in case someone has a family member who's moved elsewhere or passed away or whatever. एंड ही सिंह, मुझे नहीं पता फॉर्म 6 एंड 7 के साथ क्या हुआ. बिहार SIR में क्या हुआ था, इन्होंने ECI ने, एक इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया ने एक ड्राफ्ट रोल पब्लिश किया. दिस वाज अराउंड दी, आई थिंक, एंड ऑफ अगस्त, इफ आई एम नॉट मिस्टेकन, और द एंड ऑफ जुलाई. एंड दे सेड वी आर हैव अ 1 month window. कम, टेल अस इफ यू हैव एनी इंक्लूजन्स और डिलीशंस टू रिपोर्ट. कहीं लार्ज स्केल एडिशन हुई है वो भी तुम बताओ, लार्ज स्केल डिलीशन हुई है वो भी बताओ. And Congress had around 17,000 booth level agents in the state because an ECI bulletin used to come every day on X and on their website. And not even once did the Congress report any problem in the SIR. Today he's saying, I'll do a press conference after the elections. What for? बात, और सुप्रीम कोर्ट भी इस बात को बोल चुका है कि भाई जब SIR की हेयरिंग हो रही थी, तुम्हारे बूथ लेवल एजेंट्स कर क्या रहे हैं? वो तो पार्टी का जॉब है ना. आई एम सेइंग, इवन इफ यू वांट टू से दैट द बूथ लेवल ऑफिसर्स आर कॉम्प्रोमाइज, बिकॉज यू से एवरी इंस्टीट्यूशन इज कॉम्प्रोमाइज, यू हैव इवन इंक्लूडेड द आर्मी नाउ, राइट? What are your booth level agents doing? They are signing the Form 17 at the end of the polling day. Look, from Maharashtra to Haryana to even Delhi, none of his allegations are making sense, but they're good theatrics. At least that is what his IT cell believes. And when he says all this, he often sort of says something very stupid. जैसे आज बोला कि मोदी सरकार illegitimate है. I call upon the Gen Z peacefully, however, to protest and fight back to claim the democratic framework. If you're going to be so blatant in your calling of Gen Z, people know what you're attempting to do here. कहीं ना कहीं, he is his own enemy. Rahul Gandhi's biggest enemy today is not BJP or ECI or Amit Shah or Modi or any regional party. It's Rahul Gandhi himself. And that is why when Kushal and I did a podcast, I think it's been more than a year now. And I had the same theory then, I have the same theory today, I'll have the same theory tomorrow. Let this buffoon talk.
Give a mic.
Give a mic. Give him an open mic. Give him 10 mics. Give him all the media, all the attention he wants. Because, he provokes the people to actually do their own research. आज कितने लोग होंगे जो देख रहे होंगे कि अच्छा भाई ये ऐसे बोल रहा है, ऐसा होता है क्या? और एक कॉमन जो डिनोमिनेटर इस पूरी चीज में, वो एक वोटर आईडी. एवरीवन वोट्स or everyone has the right to vote. So it's not a process where there are some people who are included and some are excluded, or it's alien to anyone. Everyone knows how it works. And RJD will start with a 35% vote share in Bihar, combining the Yadav Muslim vote. So even they know what he's saying doesn't really make sense. And one thing I have to add, he waited for a day before the polling to make this press conference. Are we to conclude, even though Rahul Gandhi has indirectly admitted defeat, that this is pretty much the exit poll that we are looking at? if he is already sort of hyping his vote chori campaign again, and remember, this entire vote chori narrative had disappeared after that vote chori yatra in Bihar. Then he went for a holiday in South America somewhere. Then he comes back. RJD had a majority number of seats. RJD was running its own agenda. And suddenly, out of the blue, it's vote chori again. So, are we to conclude that the results are pretty much clear, and as many exit polls or opinion polls are predicting, it's going to be a 140 sweep for the NDA? I don't know.
See, as far as I'm concerned, my problem with Rahul Gandhi is he loses an election, and if somebody says तू कोर्ट में जा, बोलता है कोर्ट भी कंट्रोल्ड है. अच्छा तो पुलिस में जा, तो पुलिस भी कंट्रोल्ड है. तू इस इंस्टीट्यूशन में जा, वो इंस्टीट्यूशन भी कंट्रोल्ड है. सब कुछ कंट्रोल्ड है. तो फिर तू कर्नाटक इलेक्शन कैसे जीता? फिर तू अभी नेक्स्ट ईयर केरला थोड़ा ना बीजेपी केरला जीतेगी, थोड़ा ना बीजेपी 2-3 और स्टेट जीतने वाली है. नेक्स्ट ईयर इज गोइंग टू बी व्हाट? नेक्स्ट ईयर जो स्टेट्स में इलेक्शन है, तमिलनाडु में इलेक्शन है, कर्नाटका में इलेक्शन है, और भी जहां जहां इलेक्शन है, like BJP is very clearly going to lose those elections.
तुषार कहाँ गया?
तुषार कुछ नहीं, वापस आ जाएगा. Beyond a point, there has to be some level of sanity to all of this, right?
There is a Gujarati proverb we have called Pani Peda Pal Bandhvi. Basically, you take before the water, you just start taking your precautionary measures again. So I think Rahul Gandhi is just knowing that they'll lose. My point is the amount of time he spent doing research and coming up with all these allegations. If the same amount of time he had spent in Bihar with his ally, their ally would not be thinking that Congress essentially has not fought this election. To be honest, any Bihar watcher would tell you that this was not a one-sided election about 2 or 3 months ago. They had a chance. Mr. Nitish Kumar did not have the hold that he did. At least in my analysis and what I was reading, BJP was performing pretty well, but their ally JDU was not doing well. And BJP had given JDU about 101 seats to fight on. Even last time, Nitish only won 43 out of the 115 that they contested. They had a chance to at least make some inroads, the Congress and the RJD, but the Congress just hasn't showed up to the fight. RJD has done, and there are so many internal coordination, like internal fights within the RJD camp. One brother is fighting another brother, and then there's this Pappu Yadav faction and all sorts of funkiness. So if at all there is a contest, it is probably because of the RJD, but the Congress essentially has thrown in the towel in Bihar.
Yeah.
No, but Congress has thrown in the towel. Matlab, when was Congress holding the towel and trying to fight?
No, but जितना भी पकड़ा था,
I want to ask.
जितना भी पकड़ा था फेंक दिया.
वही ना, 60 सीटें तो मिली. मतलब जब ये पूरा वोट चोरी का कैंपेन शुरू हुआ था राहुल गांधी का, he did a very majestic sort of a yatra where Tejaswi was actually reduced to a second fiddle, a supporting character of sorts. And everyone had the same question: is the RJD going to endorse this campaign? Yes or no? And the only way to know it is the number of seats they give the Congress to fight. And even the Congress promoters and analysts and whoever on social media were saying, no, it will be, an equal fight. This will be an alliance fight. Rahul Gandhi's narrative is picking on and all that nonsense. At the end, they did not even get 1/4 of the seats to fight on. Not even 1/4. And RJD would also remember that in 2020, it was the excessive number of Congress seats, even though there was in like 70 odd seats, 70 or 80. They ended up proving to be a liability. Even in those 70, 75 seats, they ended up proving to be a liability. And RJD wasn't going to commit the same mistake again. And RJD has not picked up the vote chori campaign even. Even in the manifesto, it's not anywhere mentioned that we are looking at the ECI, we need a new framework, what all that nonsense. कुछ नहीं. वो अपना अलग एजेंडा चला रहे हैं सोशल जस्टिस का. पर राहुल गांधी is the only one holding the this campaign together. And it's not a campaign I want to view in isolation anymore. कल ये बिहार में जाके बोल रहे 10% people are controlling the army. He's already attacked the executive when he said OBCs कितने हैं, cabinet secretaries or joint secretaries वाले position में. Legislature ये हर वक्त attack करता है. Religious based reservation इसकी पार्टी वाले बात करते हैं. ECI he attacks, judiciary he attacks, media he attacks. Tell me one institution Rahul Gandhi has not questioned the integrity of today. One institution. None. PSUs he attacks. LIC पर जो अटैक होते रहते हैं.
मैंने माइक गलत सुना था.
हाँ,
अभी मेरी आवाज अच्छी है. आवाज को क्या हो गया था?
Acha.
Anyway,
The way Rahul Gandhi is going, they are making his allies, the CPI Marxist Leninist CPI ML, look a little saner. The way the crazy allegations, because usually I would expect CPI ML to make all the insane allegations from the Mahagathbandhan, but turns out Rahul Gandhi is leading that charge also.
अभी अभी क्या
wait,
होगा ना, कुछ दिन में some days later Rahul Gandhi will fly to New York and meet Mamdani, and again he'll be projected as this global child of the left and the messiah of the liberals and all that nonsense. But at the end of the day, Congress is now actually resembling a communist party, worse than a communist party.
I'll tell
I
you
won't
though,
be surprised. I won't be surprised if 2029 their manifesto says let's denuclearize India.
the
I won't be
Mamdani,
surprised.
I don't know if Mamdani will want to be photographed with Rahul Gandhi. he's a lot smarter in the way he ran his campaign than people give. I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but he ran a smart campaign, which I can't say the same about Rahul Gandhi.
no. So now let's focus on Bihar.
Yeah, correct.
So my biggest problem with Bihar is like Congress is not even a player in Bihar, right? कहाँ है
No.
Congress? Is Congress a player in Bihar?
नहीं, I mean, I was shocked that they were given 60 seats. Last time to 70 दे दी थी, but last time RJD खुद भी shocked था कि how it became this close. I don't know why they got 60 seats. Congress does not exist in more than 30 or 35 seats in Bihar.
Doesn't even have a double-digit vote share actually. So
Yeah, but I mean, see the base of that the Congress used to have. See, Bihar's demographics are complicated, right? Each party has their own base in demographics. You have sort of a 15% upper caste vote that usually has gone to the BJP. Then you have BJP also has a little bit of base in the non-Yadav OBC and the EBCs. Nitish Kumar has quite a big base in the extremely backward classes, which is EBC, which is about 36%, and then a little bit in the SCs and the STs, and then obviously Lalu Yadav has a big base in the Yadav vote and the Muslim vote. Muslim vote is about 17%, and Yadav vote
yeah,
is about 14%. So that's where that 30% bank is where Lalu Yadav's base. In that, Congress only has some pockets where it has some leaders. So you have those Katihar and all those regions where Tariq Anwar gets elected. In those regions, Congress has a little bit of the Muslim votes. It has some old upper caste vote that has been with Congress since the 70s and 80s. So abhi nostalgia factor pe they have a little bit of that, but that is what, about 7-8% vote
yeah.
share total overall, and I have not seen Congress's vote share expand more than that. In UP, we've at least seen that 2009 election anomaly where Congress actually did go beyond their capacity and did well. In Bihar, it's never been that. Only in that 2015 election where JDU and Nitish Lalu were together and did Congress a favor, and essentially unke naam pe Congress won a few seats. Congress has pretty much been irrelevant in Bihar except for 2 or 3 Lok Sabha segments.
So it is very interesting. I was doing research of where Prashant Kishore's rallies have been. He has only gone to RJD areas. I have literally pinpoint following his rallies. He has only gone to RJD areas.
I mean,
Baki samajh jao.
I'll tell you something about Prashant Kishore though. It's very interesting. Initially,
वोट वो काटेगा.
नहीं, पर कहाँ और किस पार्टी से, right?
वो मैं बोलना चाह रहा हूँ.
That's what I'm saying, right? And the thing with Prashant Kishore is that initially it looked like he was getting some upper caste votes and stuff in Bihar, and that's what the movement would be. But it seems like now he's been focusing on getting votes from the EBC, the extremely backward castes, getting some of the village votes and so forth. That is Nitish Kumar's base and some Lalu Yadav's base as well. So to your point, Kushal, kahan kaatega aur kiske khaatega? And
मैं
last
तेरे को
time,
बोल रहा हूँ, go and study Prashant Kishore's.
So I have a
rallies.
question to you
Go
both.
and
Is
study
Prashant Kishore playing the same role that Chirag Paswan played last time? Because Chirag Paswan only put
I think
up...
Prashant Kishore is playing the role that Aam Aadmi Party played in the last Gujarat election.
Maybe, but they to fought... I don't know. इतना भी relevant
It's
है या
very
नहीं?
hard to estimate his relevance right now because the people who are going to vote for the RGD, at least the primary voter base, they would be hard to break through. Look, one thing I always credit the Muslims for is they're very strategic in their voting. They are not swayed by any such factors. Hindus are OBCs, OBCs, non-Yadav OBCs in UP and Bihar are, SCs are, but Muslims are never swayed. And even the Yadavs, after the kind of anti-incumbency they're seeing or witnessing or experiencing, whatever, they will want to back Yadav. So when he says that he's going to sort of play the spoiler, which vote share will he cut? Which segment will he attack? That is what is remaining unclear now. And I don't know. I remember the kind of noise that was made around Arvind Kejriwal also in 2014 on a national level कि भाई ये आ रहे हैं लड़ेंगे इनकलाब जिंदाबाद बहुत कुछ बोले थे ये लोग. It turned out to be a damn squib. So they were nowhere actually. So with Prashant Kishore also, I mean, even if he gets a 5% vote share, he'll have my respect. But at this point, I can't, confidently say that he'll have a 5%
But
vote share.
but can I ask you something, Tushar? If he gets a 5% vote share, then I believe he's not going to get any seats and stuff. But I did see some projections where they gave him about 8%, and they still give him 0 seats. I don't see if he gets 8%, he has to get 1 or 2 seats. There is no way he gets 8% vote share, and that's just randomly distributed across the state. There are a couple of pockets where he would do, if it crosses 8%.
But polls are saying उसको एक सीट मिलेगी.
अरे भाई वो एक, I think they just put
एक
as a
तो
0 to 2 और फिर उसका median 1 आके आता है ऐसे. I'm none of those.
Congress has been getting 2 seats in Delhi for the last 3 assembly elections, yaar,
हाँ.
matlab.
So
And they
मतलब
all ended up scoring a duck.
I'm not going to take names, but someone sent me this poll and मैं उनको message किया. I was like, pinpoint me which exact seat, and I still haven't heard back from them in a week. I was like, एक seat. If you are making the call that Prashant Kishore gets 1 seat, I want to know which is the 1 seat, and that's why I'm taking these polls with a bit of a pinch of salt. Because if you are just traditionally projecting a 5 to 6% vote share, that means they are not getting enough data to actually make that call. Seat mein aa rahe hai. The traditional in Indian traditional politics, 15% is that big base. अगर आप 15% क्रॉस करेंगे, then definitely you are getting a few seats here and there. But if you are not crossing 15%, then you are essentially just a party of pockets.
No, but with Prashant Kishore, what I found to be very unique and weird is that he himself is not fighting election. खुद नहीं लड़ रहा है.
अब वो तो नीतीश कुमार भी कहाँ लड़ता है. So I mean, I can't give him, I can't bang on him.
That way, he's taken a lesson from Arvind Kejriwal. And look what it did to his national aspirations after he contested against Modi in Varanasi in 2014.
Correct.
I mean, the defeat was so brutal, irrespective of all the noise. And I still remember very clearly the kind of media hype he was given back in 2014 after he had just quit the Delhi government. Okay? And people thought, oh, this is the next big thing. Will Modi win? Will Modi win or not? And those are very different times. Today, it's very hard to imagine that people were doubting a Narendra Modi victory, but 2014 was a very different time, May 2014. So Prashant Kishore also knew that if he's looking for a greater aspiration, 10 years, 15 years down the lane, he cannot afford a mockery of himself in the very first election he contests. I mean, it's a weak signs of a weak politician, but that is what he's chosen. I think he's drawn a lesson from Arvind Kejriwal then, because Arvind Kejriwal could never come back from that defeat on the national level. He could never just come back.
Yeah, and I mean, let's look at Bengal last time, right? Subhendu actually defeated Mamata in her seat. So it is quite possible that when you're focused on the state, you might lose your own seat. Right. And I mean, but Mamata Banerjee won 200 other seats. So, that wasn't a story. Prashant Kishore, we know, is not going to win more than 5 seats in Bihar. So if he, on top of that, contests and loses his own seat, the focus pretty much becomes that. Now, if he's not contested and 5 or 2 or 3 people even are in contest from Jan Swaraj, they're like, oh, dekho bhai. No one gave them a chance, and there at least that becomes the news. So I think he has just done that to change the news cycle story on results day.
But उसने तो बोला था अगर मेरे को ये नहीं आएगा मैं राजनीति छोड़ दूंगा, मैं ये कर दूंगा, वो कर दूंगा.
That definitely is
वटिया गल्ला कर अंडिया. रुक जा, मैं तेरे को प्ले करके बताता हूँ. उसने
केजरीवाल 12 साल से चिपका रहा है यार हमें.
अरे वो केजरीवाल तो ठीक है, ये वाला सुनो, ये क्या क्या बोलता है.
कोई मजबूत उम्मीदवार दिखना चाहिए जिसके साथ लड़ा जाए। हाँ बिल्कुल कहा, मेरे साथियों ने भर दिया है फॉर्म मेरा। एनडीए के लोग थर 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 कांप रहे हैं। मैं तो चुनाव लड़ने गया ही था, देखा भी, लेकिन पार्टी के साथियों का निर्णय ही सर्वोपरि है। मेरा भी उसमें मत है, लेकिन सबने मिलकर निर्णय लिया है कि इसलिए मैं चुनाव नहीं लड़ रहा हूँ, इसलिए मैं चुनाव नहीं लड़ रहा हूँ, मैं चुनाव नहीं लड़ रहा हूँ।
भाई मतलब
भाई
लोगों
पहली
का
चीज
कोई
तो देयर इज नो सच थिंग एज पार्टी। यही पार्टी है, इसका फेस ही पार्टी है।
हाँ
कैंडिडेट, अगर किसी कैंडिडेट को वोट जा रहा है, मतलब इन द इन द एनालिसिस आई एम प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर इलेक्शन डे, आई एम नॉट इवन केयरिंग फॉर द नेम्स ऑफ द जनस्वराज पार्टी कैंडिडेट्स। आई genuinely am not, because it's a Prashant Kishore thing. If it works, it works. Like it worked for Arvind Kejriwal and Bhagwant Mann in Punjab in 22. It wasn't the candidates, it was the two of them and their party. So I don't know what pretentious behavior is this.
नहीं, they it's very interesting. I actually looked up because हम लोग interesting चीजें podcast के लिए करते हैं ना, तो I looked up their leadership. They have a founder, Bihar state president, national president, and national chief spokesperson, and all
सब
of
एक ही है।
हाँ, नहीं, मतलब 3 लोग हैं, but they are all ex Congress, ex Babu, ex
हाँ।
BJP. So you have Uday Singh, Pawan Verma, what's his name, Manoj Bharti. So pretty much सब ओल्ड पुराने चावल जो जेडीयू बीजेपी जिन जिनको टिकट नहीं मिला, they have all decided कि what will we do on our spare time, let's back Prashant Kishore and see what happens, right? And again you have to understand, Prashant Kishore worked with the BJP for the 2014 elections, and before he worked with the JDU after. So he has friends who he has worked with essentially, and then those friends did not get tickets in their respective parties. So he just called them up and he's like, चलो आपको national president बना देता हूँ, आपको national chief spokesperson बना देता हूँ. तो ठीक है अभी. I mean, I will give Prashant Kishore one credit on one situation. At least whenever he's on the English media channel, he is talking some sane issues that the RJD is not talking, right? And Bihar does need sane opposition parties. Like if Nitish and BJP come to power, which is more than likely, I hope there is a voice of reason who's talking about, okay, why is economic development not happening in some constituencies? What happened to investments? Are we looking at those rather than the sloganeering that Tejasvi Yadav, Lalu Prasad Yadav and stuff? If you look at Tejasvi Yadav's campaign, it looks like a control C, control V of the Lalu Yadav campaign. It's not aspirational, right? अभी भी वही 90s की campaign चल रही है, just with this, while Lalu Yadav is handing out Halloween candies. So it's just crazy what is going on. So I hope for the sake of Bihar that Prashant Kishore at least gets a voice, because there needs to be some sort of a decent opposition.
We also have to understand Bihar in 10 years would be a very different state politically. JDU, I don't know will exist or not. RJD, I don't know in what form it will exist. Will it be a lot of RJDs between the siblings? Will it be centered around Tejasvi Yadav? Look, 11 years ago, if someone had told you, can you imagine Haryana without the Chautalas, without the INLD? You would have said, are you stupid? Like, kya baat kar rahe hai bhai? And they had then what, a 25% vote share. Today, they don't even have 5% vote share. So you don't know what game Prashant Kishore is also playing. Maybe he's not even looking at these elections. Maybe he's not even looking at the next Lok Sabha election. Maybe his best case scenario is that what if? What if in the next election, assembly election, I emerge as the principal opposition with a far weakened RJD and a probably extend JDU? Who knows? I mean, this is just an hypothetical example, right? तो रीजनल पार्टीज जब इमर्ज करती हैं तो वो भी रीजनल पार्टीज को ही रिप्लेस कर रही होती हैं. Punjab mein Akali Dals were once the pole of politics. Today they are fighting an existential crisis.
Right.
So look at what happened to Shiv Sena in Maharashtra. Look at
I
what
was just
happened
going
to
to say.
AIDMK.
I mean, even NCP came out of
NCP.
Congress in Maharashtra.
Yes.
So,
and what
yeah.
happens to TMC in 5 years, we don't know. What kind of party it becomes. I'm sure the party will remain, but what kind of party it becomes, or in 10 years. Right.
I mean,
So,
Congress in Andhra is finished. YSRCP came out of Congress. So, yeah, absolutely. Once the leader goes, you never know the succession plan kya hota hai.
In this case, the best case scenario has actually been Akhilesh Yadav, in the sense that his Samajwadi has still survived in a sense. It's not.
I think that's also because he won an election on his own. Like, let's give
Yes.
him his due. 2012 was a remarkable win for Akhilesh Yadav on his own,
Yeah,
because
partially.
Mulayam was not there. I mean, in
Hmm.
terms of active campaigning, and he sidelined his uncle. So, matlab, he
Hmm.
did lead that succession battle. Shivpal Yadav was a second pole, essentially calling the shots Pele as a home minister, and he put him to
Hmm.
the side. So that was interesting.
And that is where I agree with Adit. If Prashant Kishore can pick up sustained issues, and Bihar's population is also evolving with time, they're no longer stuck in the 90s. मतलब खुद लोग ये इंटरव्यूज आते रहते हैं ट्विटर पे लोग बोल रहे हैं आई डू नॉट लाइक तेजस्वी एक महिला बोल रही है हाउसवाइफ आई डू नॉट लाइक तेजस्वी यादव so that is how the population is evolving the parties sometimes do not evolve like
What is
Akadis I
interesting
think
was Prashant Kishore going ahead and saying, I will remove the liquor ban. He was like, it's too much of a
makes
loss
sense
to the exchequer.
Oh, I've
he's right
as
I
someone who has
agree
advocated in my own state when I was in Gujarat, when I'm out of Gujarat, that we should not have a liquor ban. Exchequer is losing money, and there are some very corrupt people in the system making money in the black label. Oh, nikal do bhai. Get the money in the system. Use that money for public infrastructure.
Apparently, in Bihar, it has worked wonders because women are very happy.
Bhai, that is the problem, right? Like,
That's what
societal
I hear
dynamics na?
when I talk to BJP
no,
people.
no, you are right. Why was Anna Hazare popular in the first thing? Because he came out against liquor in rural areas, right? So our approach to liquor ban and liquor is very urban centric. So that is why there have been creative solutions that you actually allow liquor in urban areas, in restaurants and stuff like that. Whatever the money the exchequer is making, use that for public infrastructure, but don't allow liquor stores. And that is a solution that maybe people can think of. Who knows?
See, the business mind inside us and the whole right-wing political inclinations we have, free business, private businesses, free markets, that will any day say that liquor business needs to be allowed in every state, be
Hmm.
it Gujarat, be it Bihar. But a problem here, the MLA fighting there or the MP fighting there, he's saying, I'm looking at a heavily dominated women constituency or a community, which is coming and telling me our husbands are far more problematic because of easy liquor access. And
Mhm.
if it's banned, it makes our lives better. And in Bihar, women vote is a significant mover for the NDA. तो यहाँ पर
Which
दो
transcends
अलग
caste lines actually.
yeah, which transcends caste lines. And the same stories in UP. So in Delhi also, now what is Rekha Gupta doing? She's saying, I'll shut off all the liquor shops that were open during Kejriwal's reign in the residential areas. She's being very clear. किसी को आई मीन दिल्ली में कोई कमी थोड़ी है यार लिकर की कहीं भी आप चले जाओ पत्थर मारो कोई लिकर स्टोर मिल जाएगा but she's saying I'm getting rid of it. So that is somewhere also the BJP thought process that we're looking at the societal level problem first and the economic problem later. So
Hmm.
that is how they operate. The free market, free business mind and me doesn't agree to it, but then I'm not the one fighting an election. They are.
Correct. Hmm. I mean, maybe the long-term solution is what something in the West and US. What there is each county decides its own. You can have dry counties. You can have counties selling. So local
More
issues.
corruption at the local level.
But unfortunately, yeah, that's the problem.
And the GST becomes the GST to chalo hai nahi is case mein. The taxation becomes the nightmare also. Na?
Nightmare.
I
That's
see
right.
in India for every good solution, you have 10,000 problems already in the
Bureaucratic
making.
problems attached to it.
So
So.
that is one big factor, coming to
Hmm.
Bihar, the women voters and the
Hmm.
Mahila Rozgar Yojana they started. Now, India was being very clear. We have self-help groups. We
Hmm.
are pushing for self-help groups. We are giving you money to start a business. If you are able to do it well and good, or for them, then it's something they attempted it couldn't really work. But now they're going for the credit access. Every scheme of this government now, the Modi government,
Hmm.
be it in the center or on the state, it's just focused majorly on one thing. I am giving you credit, start a business. Take a loan, a 10,000 rupee loan, start a business. तो ये भी अब एक आई थिंक एक फ्रेमवर्क बन गया है फॉर इलेक्शन इन द फ्यूचर ऑल्सो दैट मोर देन द 1,500 rupees and 2,000 rupees we are betting on you to do something with your lives if you can well and good if you can't okay someone will at least
So.
Fair enough. One more bit for the Bihar elections that I was fascinated by is that the regions BJP is doing well and the regions Tejasvi Yadav is doing well.
Hmm.
Let's focus on that. So you want to talk about that, Aadit? Let's
Yeah,
focus
so
on that.
Before we get into that, you have to understand, last election was a very close election. It was like about the difference between the NDA and the non-NDA vote was, I think, 12,000 or 13,000 votes or something like that. So the BJP knows that, and that is why their seat distribution has been more creative this time. So last time you had Nitish Kumar fighting 115, BJP fighting 110, VIP, which is the Vikashsheel Insan Party, Mukesh Sahni, who is now with the NDA, fighting 11, and Jitan Ram Manjhi fighting 7. Chirag Paswan was not with the NDA that time in the state election. This time, BJP and JDU are both fighting 101. Chirag Paswan has been given 28 seats. Manjhi has been given 6 seats, and Upendra Kushwaha is back with the NDA. He was an ex-JDU leader. He was with the NDA in 2014, moved away, fighting 6 seats. So that's about 240 seats that they are fighting. Now, the one interesting thing in terms of Bihar's map, if you look, BJP's catchment area is primarily north to northeast Bihar, and then parts of West Bihar. I'm sorry, north and then East Bihar, which is bordering with Bengal. That area they're powerful, and then also the area bordering UP. So that is the catchment area. RJD's catchment area is the northeast, where there is a significant Muslim population, and also the southwest Bihar. So they are the two major clusters. The central Bihar is more of the JDU versus RJD sort of fight, and that is how the seat distribution has taken place in Bihar as well. Even if you see the NDA seat sharing map, BJP gets a gigantic cluster in the northwest portion, and then some sporadic seats in central, and then another cluster bordering in the areas bordering Bengal and Jharkhand. And if you look at the map, JDU's seat share, and I'll drop the map, I'll drop a link to the map, Kushal, if you want to share that map. JDU's, if you look at JDU's cluster, it is primarily central Bihar. So it's done across traditional lines. Then when we get to the Chirag Paswan's party, which is the LJP, LJP Ram Vilas, because the other LJP is with his uncle. There are two major clusters in the Hajipur Lok Sabha and the Jamui Lok Sabha. And that's where their major seats are. But then they have a little bit of local bahubalis like your Suraj Bhan and others, and so that's why they have a sporadic seats, especially wherever they have SC votes and extra EBC votes. That cluster, that's where they are. And then you have Kushwaha, just basically small pockets across the state, and Jitaram Manjhi having a very small cluster near the Bihar-Jharkhand border, where that's where pretty much his influence is between his community, which is an SC community. Kushal, you are muted, I think.
So what are the exit polls saying? Which areas is the BJP gaining?
So, I mean, right now I've only seen the opinion. The exit polls obviously will happen, once the elections are done and stuff.
They'll come out on 11th.
Yeah. There are two, there is, I think, 1 or 2 opinion polls that I've seen. And they've been just saying that the NDA is going to gain in the JDU catchment area, which is central Bihar. Because, see, BJP got close to 70 seats out of 110 last time. I personally think BJP is going to maintain that number, about 75 seats. So there may be a few seats that they gain and a few seats lost, but ultimately it's going to cancel out. They're saying that JDU from 43 is going to go a little bit higher. And last time Chirag Paswan did not win anything. So if Chirag Paswan wins about 4 to 5 seats, that is a gain to the NDA. So that is where they are expecting about 10 to 15 seat bump for the NDA, and they're giving NDA between 150 and 160 seats. I personally think that's a little bit high. My numbers are going to be closer to 130 to 140 range right now. Elections haven't happened. I'm just looking at the data and stuff.
130 to 140 NDA
is huge.
NDA. Yeah, because I think 130 to 140. I'm being a little bit more charitable. The last 2 weeks, because the Congress has just thrown in the towel. If the Congress ran a decent campaign, they would probably the NDA would get to 120 to 130. But before polls have happened, I think JDU is performing a little bit better than what people thought in the last 2 weeks, because Nitish Kumar was seen as declining. JDU's the energy was missing. But then, as always happens, Mr. Modi started his rallies. The cadre woke up, and JDU and BJP started working on the ground a lot better. So that would be my, again, the once the elections happen, the vote, we'll have to see the turnout, how
काउंटिंग
the
11 तारीख को है ना?
नहीं अभी दो
नहीं,
phase में है.
14
The
No.
counting is
अच्छा,
on 14th, but then 7th and 11th
14th.
is when the 2 phases.
Okay. So
But
let's see what the voting
See, there are
percentage
two
is
things.
tomorrow.
Yeah. See, it's going to be about women voters. Now, something I heard was that a lot of women voters are sort of feeling this, that if they do not go out and vote, there is a probability of election being lost. And वो एक बीजेपी में भी लोकल यूनिट्स पे एक वो रियलाइजेशन तो आ गई है कि भाई जीत रहे हैं, हवा है, सब कुछ है, एट द एंड you have to go and get the people to vote. So I
correct.
think that is where women voters would be very, very important. Again, like in 2020, in 2022 UP, this election will be decided by the women voters. The one significant difference between Maharashtra 24 Lok Sabha and Assembly was also the turnout of the women voters. So if the women voters actually lock, stock, barrel rally behind the NDA, there is no stopping the Prime Minister. And I'll tell you something that was very blatant a month and a half before. Congress was to some degree peaking. Rahul Gandhi was this boy in Bihar and he's running this campaign, and Tejashwi Yadav, he was trying to make Tejashwi Yadav small. मतलब इतना वो आरजेडी में भी कॉम्प्लेक्स आ गया था कि नहीं नहीं भाई, हमारा ही आदमी सीएम कैंडिडेट है, राहुल गांधी नहीं है. बट कांग्रेस, एज इट ऑलवेज डज, इट जस्ट पीक्ड टू अर्ली. Nitish Kumar was being set as a liability. I myself have believed this, and I still sort of have this worry that will JDU be a liability for the BJP? Because Nitish Kumar, the kind of expectations people have from him, yes, this could be his last election. So there is that factor also weighing on people's minds. But what if BJP ends up with a strike rate of 80, but JDU ends up with a very low strike rate? What happens then? You don't want that close an election. It's the same story with the RJD alliance also. RJD might go with a high strike rate, but they'll be pulled down by the Congress's strike rate. But in their case, what favors them is RJD is fighting on a greater number of seats. And that is where before the election, I was of the personal opinion that maybe you could have BJP fighting on 120 seats and JDU perhaps on 80. But of course, the dynamics and the kind of dynamics we have in the center, that would never allow for it. That you have a 40 seat gap or even a 20 seat gap, a 90, 110 kind of an arrangement also. Because I don't know how the voters are going to react to the JDU, especially the young voters. Look, all said and done, one thing common across all polls, private or public, and all sorts of media reports on the ground is the youth are unhappy with the JDU. They are. And this is beyond the MY combo. That is why I am being very conservative right now with my predictions. I am being a little skeptical, right? Maybe a little too traditional. But the youth, sort of the expectations they have got their internet pack, now they want employment. And maybe Tejashwi Yadav's super stunning promise of every government job for every household. I mean, you don't know how the
मतलब वो
youth will
कैसे
see it.
करेगा वो भाई, मतलब
भाई
कोई फेंकने की भी सीमा है कि नहीं, कि अभी
भाई पर
मतलब हमको जो
भाई
बोलना
एक
है हम बोलेंगे.
अब यहाँ पर एक प्रॉब्लम आ जाती है, हमारे लिए वो फेंकना है. एनी रैशनल पर्सन विल टेल यू ये फेंकना है. बिहार के शायद खुद लोग सोच रहे होंगे क्या फेंक रहे, 3 करोड़ सरकारी नौकरी कैसे दे देगा, और ही इज राइटिंग सरकारी नौकरी, देयर इज नो एम्बिग्विटी देयर. ठीक है. बट sometimes within the youth at the age of 23, 24, 25, this this hunger for change, this desire for a rebellion is so strong. They don't know, they're not looking at logic. They're looking only at ki theek hai, I want to rebel, I'm going with the other party. And look, in a sense of resonance also, Tejashwi Yadav may resonate more with a 23-year-old Bihari voter than Nitish Kumar.
Yeah.
Again, all the traditional, all the 35 plus age group voters are going with the NDA. That way, they are very clear, and that is why one primary pitch of the Prime Minister has also been in his campaign rallies. अपने परिवार के बड़ों से पूछिए जंगल राज क्या था.
Yeah.
Because somewhere even the BJP realizes the youth may be might be sick and tired of how the JDU was running things. And you have to respect that. As much as we respect the women voters also, we also have to start factoring in how the youth thinks. They might not be a election changing demography, but they are important.
No,
Right?
but
And that is where
sorry, no, go complete what you
no,
what you were saying.
that is where this whole memory of Jungle Raj is actually a factor in this election. It's the first time that a memory of a party is playing a significant role in an election, and that is where RJD's Jungle Raj is also a liability, which is why Lalu is not very active in the campaign.
Right.
Every, some selected reporters, we know who they are. They are all going around town saying, अच्छा पर आप तेजस्वी यादव को तो एक मौका दीजिए. लालू का एक राज था, जैसा था ठीक है, पर उस बात को 20 साल हो गए. अब आप तेजस्वी यादव को मौका दीजिए, शायद कुछ अलग हो. They are only selling this narrative that maybe the son is not like the father, and the father is pretty much absent in the entire campaign, which is very, very surprising. So who are they looking at? That is also a question.
And what to echo what Tushar was saying, BJP faced that in Gujarat in 2017 because they were completely. You had a generation essentially that was growing up without knowing what the Congress government was. And that's why the Congress came so close, and they had one decent face running the campaign who was a younger face. Then obviously Congress did what they did, sidelined that face, and then the old uncles came back, and people are like, we don't want them, and they got completely wiped out the next election, right? So the RJD has realized that there is a generation of people that has grown up thinking of Nitish Kumar as the default face of governance. So whatever misgovernance or whatever issues they are saying, they associate Nitish Kumar with it. They have no memory of what Rabri Devi or Lalu Prasad Yadav was doing, except it's written. And this is, and I sort of ding the Bihar BJP on this. There has not been a single white paper written on what the hell happened. There are the Champa Biswas case or the Shilpi Gautam case that we talk about because we are political nerds. We read,
caste-based massacres.
Caste-based massacres, right? You had the anti-upper caste violence in many cases and stuff.
Naxal violence पे कुछ नहीं लिखा है.
And there is not one white paper. I was doing research for the podcast, Kushal, and I could not find one sarkari paper in the Nitish Kumar BJP alliance since Mr. Sushil Modi has been the deputy CM of Bihar. He passed away tragically last year or this year, I think. There has not been one thing that was commissioned like that. And this is, I mean, I'm sorry, but this is a bit of a ding on the BJP that they should have had a committee that looks into this, interviews families, that have lost people, that have lost lives, and document these. Because then you can say, boss, look here, this is ye hua tha 99 mein, 2000s mein, 2005 mein, talk to the people. And they'll tell you.
ऐसी expectation नहीं रखते.
No, but again, Kushal, you and I talk about this on X often. Aadit has also mentioned this on his timeline. In 2029, the first-time voter would be 3 to 8 years old when Narendra Modi was elected as the Prime Minister. उसको पता ही नहीं है यूपीए क्या है. अरे बच्चों का छोड़ो, जो 30 हमारे एज ग्रुप के लोग हैं 30s 40s में, उनको नहीं याद what was UPA all about.
Yeah.
Now, whose fault
Which
is
is
this?
why these reminders in a very scholarly and a very top quality manner are very important. But hey,
yeah,
the BJP knows everything.
Hamara matlab nostalgia is like 90s songs, and I'm like, other things are also happening in 90s. If 90s songs can be remixed, please write more than the 90s music on Indian Idol.
No, it's ridiculous.
There are some very disturbing events of the 90s. People have made an effort to document this, but all the BJP had to do was just market this. And whatever they're doing in the election rallies, that is fine. My problem is why I'm not seeing it in the popular media. Why I'm not seeing it on every second Instagram reel.
Right.
That's
and
my
here
concern.
I give credit to Ravi Shankar Prasad for the Chara scam thing that they relentlessly pursued. So it was embedded in the psyche of Indians that bhai ye Chara ka scam hua hai. But that is the only thing people think happened. in the 90s in Lalu regime. People have no regime or no idea. The carjackings, the kidnappings. I mean, the amount of stories I can tell you, they'll have to be off the record. But see, Jains have a big Tirth Sthan, Samat Shikharji. Now it's in Jharkhand, but it used to be in Bihar. And a lot of Jains go there for pilgrimage. And the crazy stories of the 90s that I can tell you that people from Gujarat and Maharashtra have faced with Lalu in power. I mean, I blame people in my own community for not documenting it, but I mean, unko bhi dar tha ki there might be retribution and stuff, but the government has to do a better job of documenting these.
Forget.
People don't know the meaning of भूमियार बाल साफ करो यार, सब कुछ छोड़ो.
Yeah, budha bal saaf
हमारे
karo, what he used to say.
हाँ हाँ भूरा बाल साफ करो, भू for भूमियार्स, right? Our the journalists on our side, the young journalists on our side, do not even sort of bring that up again and again. Lalu Prasad Yadav's reign, when it began, it was about some degree of social justice sprinkled with violence in a way. That is why you had caste-based massacres, and these are documented.
It
This
was
is not an
retributive,
opinion.
no doubt about it.
Haan, it was retributive. There are enough newspaper articles from the period, but see, Jungle Raj was a huge factor in these elections. Surprisingly, you have to play to the people's memory. The Prime Minister is doing it, even Amit Shah is doing it. But I feel it should have been sort of done on a pan-India level, just to remind people of what sort of the alliance
Yeah, but
Congress is
also,
building
Tushar,
now.
don't like if you have something documented, you don't have to talk about it every 5 years. It's there. And then people can
It's
talk about it as, you know,
yes.
the culture of Bahubalis and why this was sort of scary. I think the BJP has done a better job in documenting the issues that happened in Uttar Pradesh than they have done in Bihar. Now, I don't know because UP, they were in power complete like solo, or maybe the demographics of UP are different than the demographics of Bihar. but
But the law and order problems are same. See, one thing I'm very excited on 14th to see, and I hope I'm sort of proven right, is that is the fear of
Mhm.
depleting law and order situation now a factor on voters' minds. They
Hmm.
might be unhappy with the BJP. They might have enough qualms with the BJP. They might be unhappy with the pace of development also. But
Mhm.
are they saying that if RJD comes back or if the Samajwadi comes back, what kind of retribution I might have to face as a voter or as a
Mhm.
community? Are they thinking on those lines? And if even if not as a community, what kind of economic retribution I might have to face? Economic retribution is also important because in Bihar, a lot of urban pockets are voting for one thing. They're saying we have the stability in running a business, or as small or big as it might be. But that stability is huge. Now think about this. We in say Delhi or Bombay or Chandigarh, for us stability was more about ठीक है यार terrorist attacks नहीं हो रहे. जान माल
Mhm.
को खतरा नहीं है जो पहले होता था. ये कह रहे हैं यार हम जी पा रहे हैं ठीक ठाक से, कोई गुंडा राज नहीं है. यूपी में बच्चे कह रहे हैं ये बच्चे जो होते हैं कॉलेज वॉलेज जाने वाली लड़कियां, और ये वो कह रही है हमें कोई सिग्नल पे छेड़ नहीं रहा. दैट इज द ह्यूज प्लस फॉर अस एंड दैट विल कीप टेकिंग अस बैक टू योगी or Nitish in Bihar. So one thing I really want to look on 14th is for all the cherry sugarcoating of Tejashwi Yadav. He's the new star and the new generation Lalu Prasad Yadav Sion. Are the people now saying we also fear what might happen?
Hmm.
From there is no alternative. What could be the alternative like? Who knows?
Mhm.
Yeah, but look, I think overall documentation when it comes to the past of India has been very bad.
Yeah,
Just, all the
terrible.
documentation and the romanticism as far as Naxalism is concerned is always about, oh, how, it's from a very communist perspective. Where are those stories? Where are those detailed papers jotting down the torture that the Naxals have, inflicted on
Mhm.
the poor villagers in those Naxal areas? That story has not been told. Today, we know the Naxal areas have been, um,
Finished.
kind of. But I think we should tell the story. These things are very important, and it's just, I think we lack the ability to tell and narrate these stories. Somewhere down the line, I think it's intellectual laziness. And I also feel some people that might be part of the BJP today and maybe part of something else in the past may not come off looking all that good. I think those are the two reasons.
Hmm.
Also in uh, I mean, there have been issues of Naxal violence in Aurangabad. There is a massacre in the 1980s, I think 87, when Naxal just murdered 50 people in a village. Gunpoint, person. Now, you have to tell people this. Maybe people in those families have moved out, or they are no longer in Bihar, or they're just no longer there. But who tells them that story? Amit Shah's, for all the criticism and hate he gets on Twitter, I mean, what he's done with left-wing extremism, that should have been an issue in these elections. Remember when the BJP took on in 2014, took over, you had districts listed as left-wing affected districts, left-wing violence affected districts in Bihar. None of them exist today.
Mhm.
So, and documentation की तो ये बात है ना भाई कुशल, कल को 10 साल बाद लेट्स से सरकार सेंटर में बदलती है हाइपोथेटिकली, कोई एक सरकार आएगी कांग्रेस की या लेफ्ट की, एंड दे विल हैव दिस इंटेलेक्चुअल अग्रेसिवनेस वेयर दे विल प्रूव इट टू यू that everything that was started by Modi in 2014 was actually started by Manmohan Singh in 2006. They'll prove it. They'll create a circular economy of citations and they'll prove it to you. And people on our side will just keep doing fact checks,
Yeah.
including the three of us. So I
It's
think people on our
insane.
side, it's sad.
The-
It's
and-
sad. It's almost criminal. And I think people on our side need to realize the shelf life is the important part whenever you're documenting this thing. If I'm documenting something today of how something has changed in Bihar, that should be having a shelf life for the next 50 years. How do I sustain that shelf life is up to me, is up to my ecosystem. But shelf life भी तो कोई चीज है ना?
Yeah, but it is very telling the way things are on the internet these days, and before people think that this is a India only phenomenon, no, it's a global phenomenon. So let
No,
me
but-
give you an example of how stupid the content pattern and the landscape is. That in the United States of America, in Spotify, before Nick Fuentes was removed from Spotify, he was the #1 podcast. A man who is openly racist, who admires Hitler, who says all sorts of insane things, was the #1 podcast. And Candace Owens, who is objectively by any standard a kook, any standard, like there is no normal standard by which Candace Owens can be called normal. She's #4. So this is some weird level shit that is happening. So उसका clear indication हमारे यहाँ भी हो रहा है, उसका clear indication हमारे यहाँ भी आ रहा है. And by and large, I think people are centrist by nature. They are very sharp when it comes to their voting preferences. People know what kind of they want to do. So
you saw what happened last night in America.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk about, that also a little bit now.
Yeah.
Because I think it's very important from, because a lot of times Indians tend to ask questions because they don't understand what has happened last night. Like, just I'll give you, in young men, 64% voted for Mamdani in NYC, 56% for Spanberger in VA, Vermont, Virginia है ना? Virginia, and 54% of for Cheryl in New Jersey. ये है. और young women 81%, ये NBC के exit poll थे, 81% for Mamdani, 80% for Cheryl, 78% for Spanberger. And it freaking doesn't end there. Bhai, you have to see the Edison, New Jersey swing. Oh boy, what a swing.
Yeah.
आदित मेरे को explain कर, ये ट्रम्प का था, same मैच, ये ट्रम्प का था, ये देख, holy shit, it's flipped.
But this is though a small number, Kushal. If you look at the Middlesex County and the Morris County, which are two of big Indian American counties in New Jersey, right? The swings are like in excess of 30-35%. Ye to matlab in a few hundred votes, right? You saw the kind of nonsense that was spoken about Indians in this online, right? People
Bhai,
get
ये
pissed off.
Virginia में देख, every single county flipped.
And people forget another thing. Last time there is a significant Indian American population in Virginia. Glenn Youngkin carried a lot of their vote. There was an Indian American in his administration as well at a very senior post, right? So a lot of them voted Democrat. But the message was basically people hold it. This was a leftward swing, right? But it was not a leftward as in to leftist policy. It was basically anyone but Republican sort of swing in the results
Yeah.
that you saw. And your candidates in the Virginia and North Carolina, I'm sorry, not North Carolina, in New Jersey, they were not your traditional Democrat far left. So people equate, they were not, they were centrist compared to Mamdani, for sure. The candidates that the Democrats had for governor. New Jersey was a state that the Republicans actually could have flipped. It was 3%. They lost the state by 3% last time. Trump came to within 6% for presidential during presidential elections. This time they lost it by over 10%, maybe over 11%. I haven't seen the final polls or something. So I think there was and again, these are the big headline elections. But if you saw what happened to local elections in Georgia or Pennsylvania, every single place the Democrats have won. This is probably the biggest win for them in the last decade.
And I think this study explains it a lot. So Democrats have shifted leftwards on cultural issues, leaving the median voter behind.
Mhm.
I absolutely agree. But what people don't want to talk about is Republicans have moved further to the right than Democrats to the left.
Yeah.
So what has happened is the move of the Vokes, right, led to such a over connection of the Republicans to the right that majority of American society, which is centrist, all the centrists went back to the Democrats.
See, I always say people will get confused by 10,000 retweets on Twitter. America is more than 350 million people. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's
some of
assume-
us live there, yeah, like you and
let's
I.
no, but let's just assume 500,000 to 1 million say idiotic things online. There are 300 million plus people who are not online and are very centrist, love the kind of life there is, and they will speak up. That is what a lot of us were saying,
They
that
have.
don't confuse Twitter and this podcast space, right? Some pathetic podcasters are in the top. The reason why they are on the top is because there is a lot of cannibalizing. There is the same group listens to their own stuff, boosts their content, and unfortunately the Twitter payout thing is the worst thing that has happened, because what people are doing is to get the payouts, they'll say the most idiotic, horrendous thing that they will
Yeah.
not dare to say to you in public. They'll put on an anonymous account, say something rubbish, and then 15 other people will boost the tweet. That tweet will get you some revenue sharing, and that becomes a model.
No,
Until and unless-
this quote that this Twitter handle King Croco Duck Giga Zionist had put up about this Brett Cooper and Candace, this quote is perfect. Stop giving charismatic airheads institutional support just because they're sufficiently photogenic and fast enough talkers to build engagement. They're destined to eventually become tumors.
Yeah.
And by the way, समझदारों को इशारा काफी होना चाहिए. This is a great lesson for the BJP also.
look
This is a
at
great
Indian
lesson for the
Tucker
BJP.
Carlson.
Don't give airheads value because you think they have numbers going. The numbers are not going to reflect come voting day. You have to respect the voter. The voter is much smarter than all of this.
Yeah.
Kushal and I have discussed this subject on WhatsApp quite a lot in the last few days.
I will have to join that chat because I have a lot to say.
No,
मेरे
it's
अंदर
disgusting.
बहुत-
See,
No,
no,
because-
I don't follow America all that much. Adit, you do it better. But I follow Canada like a hawk. And I'm telling you, Canada may be the conservatives. I don't see them coming back.
भाई मेरे we've well, yes, we've talked on that. But
What's a liberal MP? A conservative MP flipped.
Yeah, I saw this
He
morning.
flipped
I
to
saw
the
a
Liberal
tweet
Party.
on it. No, but
Carney का budget pass हो गया है. A conservative has flipped to the Liberal Party. Boss, ये भूल जाओ. ये नहीं होने वाला है. और anti-India racism करोगे. And I can say this with full responsibility. I know it for a fact that the common donors of the Conservative Party of Canada and some conservative outlets in Canada are pushing this anti-India racism. And it's aisa nahi hai ki people are not watching this.
Yeah.
Do these idiots think some of us are stupid and we are not like naive or something? And
So-
you know what the funny thing is? Who tells me this shit? Decent conservative YouTubers only. They tell me all this shit.
So in America, it's different. It's not being pushed by donors and stuff. And that is why you saw the correction happen so quickly. That it was more of like this social media phenomenon ki chala aao paise banate hain. Because see, when you say something online, especially when India and Indian Americans and Indians are there, your audience suddenly becomes 1.5 billion. We've joked, right? Like if someone will say Indians are intolerant, 10 Indians will slap them, say, "Bol sale hum tolerant hai, bol sale tolerant hai," and that will give them revenue. Because you get that engagement, right? On Twitter, we're passionate people, emotional people, and all that. So until and unless this is fixed, right? But people do see that this, and the idiocy that happened during Diwali a couple of weeks ago, where people were just jumping on anyone who said Happy Diwali to anyone, including like politicians, this that. It pisses people off. It pisses people off.
It has, and now the Indian community in North America, both India and Canada, honestly, they are just freaking fed up of the right wing now. There's going to be a giant Indian community swing to the left.
But I don't think,
believe me, उसका impact Canada में भयंकर होगा, क्योंकि Canada में हम real kingmakers हैं in terms of voting ability.
It's the same thing as
impact 25 ridings.
No, I mean, you saw what happened in the election that just happened. And Mark Carney came, and there was a complete course correction of what Trudeau did, right? In terms of engagement with India.
Bhai, abhi to Jai Shankar is going to be the foreign minister, hamara external affairs minister. He's going to go to Canada. I mean, kahan se kahan ho gaya abhi.
I mean, Anita Anand was in India last month, no?
No, wo to theek hai na, magar abhi Jai Shankar is going there. Don't be surprised if one more minister ends up going to Canada. So the complete relationship has taken a U-turn, right? And it is all happening. And I don't know if many of you saw that particular horrendous message that the Khalistanis took out, where it was basically an open threat to Anita Anand. I mean, I just don't understand what is wrong with this country. Did you see this? This was at a Khalistani rally in Mississauga. I'll show it to you guys. This was journalist V reported this. Okay, look at this. This is Gandhi and Anita. Yeah, this. See, I may not agree with Anita's politics. Okay, I've been very critical of Anita, but this is disgusting. And look at the second photo. Look at this. Both these photos are in the same rally, boss.
This is disgusting.
And this is the first time every single member of the Liberal Party of Canada has come out and condemned this bullshit. Yeah, they've not used the Khalistan word, but even a Khalistani like Sukh Dhaliwal had to come out and like, oh, ye kya kar diya? Karke. Randeep did, Sukh Dhaliwal did, Gary, the public safety minister did, and many others came out and they criticized
But
it.
that's what happens, right? You have clowns doing rallies. Ultimately, it's going to turn into circus.
But what do you think happened in New Jersey and Virginia? हुआ क्या ये? मतलब ऐसा कैसा sweep हो गया इस तरफ का?
I think it's just people see, first of all, the shutdown has impacted people, right? The last 9 months, people may have gotten tired with the policies and stuff. Televised raids. See, the unfortunate thing was, I think the way the establishment was looking at it was, are we pandering to the right people, like to the social media, or are they pandering to the people beyond the social media? It was fast becoming where, unfortunately, the news was more about who was dominating on social media, what are they doing, what are they not doing. So there are multiple reasons, right? The shutdown did not work. People if you look at Fox News's polls, right, the immigration debate and stuff, most Americans would want like a sort of a rational immigration policy. Biden went too far to the left, but they also don't want televised raids on TV and stuff. They want a more sort of nuanced way where things are done, but they are not broadcast. right? They're not like, oh yeah, this is what's happened. And third, um, on the promises, right? There was a whole controversy about the Epstein files, and then there was the whole controversy about the inflation in terms of bringing jobs back. Was that being done enough? I'm not so sure that was happening. And plus, you have the members of the cabinet are the right people in charge in the cabinet. So it was a very different Trump team that came to power in November and December last time, and now this is a different team. There are people that have left the administration. There are new people that have come. There are people with interesting pasts that are not fans of. So a combination of all of that had a course correction. But would it be so massive? No one expected that to be the case, because if you look at the Virginia State House, there are seats where the Republicans have not lost since 1990 that have swung to Democrats. And so some places it's like a 10, 15%, 20% swing, even in Georgia.
Primarily, do you think it's the tariffs that has? See, you live there. I go there all the time.
Yeah.
And it's expensive now. America is palpably expensive now.
Yeah, but I would not say for the tariffs to be a reason or not. We'll have to see the midterm. And by the way, there is a court ruling that is going on in the tariffs, so we'll find out.
Yeah, I shared a long form article of the legal analysis of that. Boss, वो पढ़ो हाँ. तुषार, तू भी पढ़ना. It's a fascinating long form read. Like 15-20 minute लगेंगे पढ़ने को, मगर it's a great breakdown of what are the likely outcomes.
But the funny thing is, people are taking the wrong message by equating what Mamdani's win was to everything else. Mamdani won in New York because Andrew Cuomo was a disastrous candidate. Like, quite frankly, a horrible candidate. He had his like not so gracious past. His record as the governor didn't just set the world on fire, and he just ran a bad campaign. And Mamdani, again, like I said, I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but that dude ran a proper campaign, right? Like that Andrew Schultz asked him a question that Bill Ackman is spending all this money against you, and guess what his response was? Man, the amount that Bill Ackman is charging, I'm not even going to tax him that much. Everyone started laughing, right? But that's a clever response. He was running a clever campaign. He was sidestepping on a lot of issues, on the message of affordability and stuff. It was a very Kejriwal-esque Delhi 2015 campaign where it was just focused on one thing. But
man, Mamdani has some crazy ideas. Like, I was reading what he says. Like,
yeah, no, they're not practical ideas, but that's not how elections are won, right? But the other Democrats that have won, Spanberger in Virginia, New Jersey, in other states, yeah, they have won because there is actually a correction towards the center, and the Republicans had gone a little too far to the right. Not all, because you'll still find some sane Republicans when you talk to and stuff, statewide, local folks that will say, boss, no, we don't agree with this. And America mein zyadatar kaam happens locally, right? So even locally, people have great relationships with their local Congress people or state senators and your county persons. But ultimately, national news does impact people, and this is a reaction to the national news. So for the first time, we've seen people vote on national issues, on elections, which were seen as primarily local, and that is a very big shift for US, because let's not forget, in 2020 Joe Biden wins, defeating Trump. 6 or 9 months later, Virginians vote for a Republican governor in Glenn Youngkin in 2020.
No, I think nobody in their wildest dreams thought that the Groypers are going to take the Republican Party discourse over. Nobody could have predicted that. मैंने एक सबसे comedy tweet क्या देखा मैं, this is some 3D chess move by Elon Musk by unleashing all racism on Twitter so that Donald Trump gets destroyed and Elon gets his revenge. क्या 3D move है ये? क्या लोग conspiracy theory बनाते हैं? मेरे को इतनी हंसी आई.
No, my more worry is, when I've been listening, that people are drawing all sorts of conclusions from the Mamdani when in India.
अरे यार क्या लोग हैं यार? I wanted to ask you about that. This was my segue. I wanted to ask you, Tushar, what is wrong with, and why are people so weird? अरे भाई, like I was in New York literally a few days ago. I was interviewing Akash Singh. I spent like 2-3 days in New York. I traveled. I spoke to people. उनके issues अलग है भाई. New York के issues अलग थे. Like sometimes, you just vote for a change. You're so fed up. And
No,
trust me, the
but
racism
एक second,
unleashed on the minorities is not fair. And the Jews
no,
are a giant number in New York.
last 100 years in New York, 75 years, I mean, 66 years was Democrats, 9 years was independent. Even Bloomberg went independent after a while. And only 20 odd years was Republicans. So, one, I do not understand the surprise in India. They think it's some sort of an unprecedented comeback of the global left. Number one. Number two, they're also taking it as an exit poll on Bihar. The most ridiculous idiots in our discourse, in our national discourse. Because Mamdani happened, Tejashri will happen. I don't know if they genuinely do this for fun or for the Twitter payout or just
No, yaar,
because
I think
they
it's
are
copium. I think it's copium.
copium, yes, or probably there are a few drinks down, but to even consider Mamdani as a reflection of how India will vote today, tomorrow, in 29. I mean, it's ridiculous. That what happened with Joe Biden also. Remember in 2020 when he sort of won that election, everyone thought that, okay, this is now going to be the end of the prime minister. The global left is coming back, taking control after the pandemic. तो हर थोड़े दिन में ये कोपियम आता है कि अरे नहीं अब होगा. But honestly, it's nauseating to
No,
look
the
at. But after a
analysis
couple
is
of minutes, it
right.
gets funny.
The analysis is right. The global left is coming back, but in India, the left never left.
Yeah.
BJP is a center left party by all means. So the problem is they are convinced that BJP center left nahi hai. BJP, if anybody did an honest policy based analysis of the Bharatiya Janata Party by reading their manifesto, reading the policies that they put out and what they do, they're not a right wing party, Baba. They're just left wing nationalists. Yeah. That's all they are.
They are the better version of left we have. I mean, had we had a right
party...
party...
ये बहुत अच्छा question है यार. How could the Groypers take over the Republican discourse, but Dhruv Rathi gang are ineffective in India when it comes to influencing election outcomes? Because I know the answer for this.
No, I'll tell you, because the discourse, actually the question में ही answer है. Dhruv Rathi and them have taken over the discourse on the left and are setting the talking points for Rahul Gandhi, but they cannot affect the election outcome. Similarly, the crazy version in America is affecting the election outcome the other way. So they may have taken over the discourse, right? But here is another proof that you don't let the nuts run the discourse, because guess what's going to happen? Your expanded vote base is just going to go to the other side.
I think people underestimate how little social media has penetrated in India in terms of elections. ध्रुव राठी, देखो भाई, ये मैं कोई हवाई बातें नहीं कर रहा हूँ. आप भी पैसे लेके ध्रुव राठी या मेरा या किसी भी यूट्यूबर का एनालिटिक्स खरीद सकते हो पैसे देके. FYI, मैं कोई बड़ी पाथ ब्रेकिंग डिस्कवरी नहीं बता रहा हूँ तुमको. ये लिटरली मार्केट में अवेलेबल है. $2,000 से $3,000 खर्चा करो, आपको सारे यूट्यूबर्स की डिटेल्स मिल जाएंगी, उनका एज डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, उनका जियोग्राफी. इसीलिए मुझे मालूम है ध्रुव राठी की जियोग्राफी क्या है. इसीलिए तो मैं हंसता हूं जब लोग बातें करते हैं.
Also, like what I've said, right? If you can't say you have 25,000 views when you have the same 5,000 people looking at the video for 5 times, right?
Oh, that's not how they quantify it. In India, that quantification is done in a very dumb manner. Yeah. So they think 1 million views is 1 million votes to Rahul Gandhi.
Exactly. No, but yeah, baby, there are a few chambus that think the same way. Look at my Twitter handle, 20,000 retweets. I have changed the world. And I'm like, 20,000 retweets में से अमेरिका से 5,000 भी नहीं है. 15,000 are from some are coming from Sweden, England, Denmark, and you've
Rahul Gandhi ka Instagram just went suddenly in the last 2-3 months went like this. You think those are genuine followers? Those are genuine likes. Bhai, let's get real. Those are bought.
If anyone
मैं तेरे को सिंपल बोल देता हूँ, जब लास्ट ईयर हुआ था ना रणवीर अलाहाबादिया का वो पंगा कभी हुआ था कि ये साल हुआ था.
इसी साल हुआ था, साल खत्म होने वाला है.
हाँ ठीक है. इस साल जब रणवीर अलाहाबादिया का वो पंगा हुआ था, उसी महीने, मैं नाम नहीं ले रहा हूँ, एक बहुत बड़े इंडियन पॉडकास्टर के सब्सक्राइबर्स उसी महीने के 10-15 दिन के पीरियड में ऐसे हो गए थे ऊपर, ज्यादा नहीं, 30-32 लाख बढ़ गए थे, ज्यादा नहीं बढ़े थे। आप मेरे को बोल रहे हो ये जेन्युइन था? लेट्स गेट फ्रिकिंग रियल। ये हर जगह होता है, हर देश में होता है। और इलॉन मस्क ने जो ये इलॉन मस्क ने एक अनाउंसमेंट की कि मैं सिर्फ कंट्री ऑफ ओरिजिन बता दूंगा और वी द्रविडियंस अकाउंट डीएक्टिवेट।
नहीं, there are a lot of people that will actually location उसके बाद expose होगा कि where this is
वो
coming
कब आ
from.
रहा है फीचर? It's long due यार. I'm really looking forward to that.
I hope
बॉस
it comes.
खत्म हो जाएगा। पाकिस्तान करेगा कि उनकी इंटरनेट इकोनॉमी इस पे चलती है।
The problem is not even that, yeah. Twitter used to be such a fun place जहाँ actually discussions हो पाते थे. Now it's just become like a comment chat. वो Yahoo comments में होता है ना, एक पीस आता है जिसमें 10,000 comments होती है. That's what Twitter has become. Like people are fighting in comments. There are legit people I know fighting with bots and then doing quote tweets of bots. And I'm like, तुम लोग पागल हो यार. Can't you see this is a freaking bot? And there is a very interesting way of knowing also. You just have to see when they have signed up for Twitter. If they signed up after revenue sharing was made public and are with a very typical profile, is a high chance that they are actually a bot.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it is the amount of bullshit messages. I mean, the amount of times I have to mute people these days because of my mixed algorithm, which is half Western, half Indian, is just insane. Anyways, we'll wrap up. Before we wrap up, I think my prediction before we wrap up, I think NDA will form the government. I think most polls are right, but then we'll find on the day of the election.
My numbers are, most polls are over predicting JDU. I still will stick to my number. My 130 to 140 is based on the last 2 weeks of campaigning. If the RJD and Congress vote does turn up, I would revise it to 120 to 130. That's why I'm not fully giving it. I would wait for the votes to turn out. I think BJP will easily get about 70 seats. But they will need about 50 other seats from their allies and to get to power. I don't see BJP crossing 80. I think 75 is going to be their sort of thing. If they cross 80, boss, then sky's the limit for Maharashtra, exactly. If they cross 80, but I don't see that happening.
My analysis is simple. Anything less than 70 for the BJP, we are in trouble. So yeah.
Yeah. Chalo. So guys, we'll wrap up over here. Follow Aadit and Tushar both on X, and you can also subscribe to the Atom channel. All the links are there in the description. Follow me on X. If you have not liked this video, like it right away. Subscribe to the Cārvāka podcast YouTube channel right away. And if you can, do consider joining the membership program of the Cārvāka podcast, whether on YouTube or on Patreon. If you want to send one-time donations, the UPI ID is kushalmehra at ICICI. And the Interac Canada email ID is kushalmehra81 at gmail.com. If you're an audio listener, do consider leaving a rating on your audio platform. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, take care.